Alexander the Great transformed the ancient world in just 13 years of military campaigning. Imagine conquering most of the known world before your 33rd birthday. Imagine never losing a single battle despite being outnumbered countless times. One man didn't just imagine this, he actually did it. His empire stretched from Greece to India, covering over 2 million square miles. We're traveling back to 356 BC to the rugged kingdom of Macedon in northern Greece. This is a time when Greek city-states constantly fight each other for dominance. The Persian Empire looms as the superpower of the ancient world. Into this turbulent era, Alexander is born to King Philip II and Queen Olympias. From the very beginning, his mother tells him he's destined for greatness. She claims he descends from the hero Achilles on her side and Heracles on his father's side. Young Alexander receives an education that most people can only dream about. At age 13, his father hires the brilliant philosopher Aristotle as his personal tutor. For 3 years, Aristotle teaches him philosophy, medicine, science, literature, and logic. Alexander develops a deep love for Homer's Iliad, keeping a copy under his pillow alongside his dagger. He memorizes entire passages and models himself after his hero Achilles. This education shapes his worldview and fuels his ambition to achieve immortal glory. At just 16 years old, Alexander gets his first taste of power and warfare. His father leaves him in charge of Macedon while campaigning elsewhere. A Thracian tribe rebels, and the teenage Alexander doesn't hesitate. He crushes the rebellion, founds a city, and names it after himself. 2 years later, at the Battle of Cheronea in 338 BC, he commands the cavalry that breaks through enemy lines. His father's combined Greek forces defeat the Thebans and Athenians. Greece now bows to Macedonian power, but Alexander's path to the throne takes a dramatic turn in 336 BC. During a wedding celebration, an assassin murders King Philip. Conspiracy theories swirl immediately. Some suspect Alexander's mother orchestrated the killing. Others blame Persian agents or disgruntled nobles. At just 20 years old, Alexander suddenly becomes king. He moves swiftly and ruthlessly to secure his position. He eliminates potential rivals and crushes rebellions in Greece. When Thebes revolts, he destroys the entire city except for temples and the poet's house. Now secure on his throne, Alexander turns his attention eastward toward Persia. His father had dreamed of this invasion, and Alexander will make it reality. In 334 BC, he crosses into Asia Minor with about 40,000 troops. The Persian Empire controls vast territories and commands armies in the hundreds of thousands. Most advisors would call this mission suicidal. Alexander calls it destiny. His first major victory comes at the Granicus River. Persian forces wait on the opposite bank, holding the high ground. Alexander's generals advise waiting, but he charges directly into the river. His cavalry smashes through Persian lines in brutal close combat. During the fighting, a Persian noble nearly kills Alexander with an axe. His friend Cletus saves his life at the last second. Alexander always fights at the front, inspiring his troops through personal courage. Alexander's military genius lies not just in bravery, but in innovation and adaptation. He inherits his father's revolutionary phalanx formation, where soldiers carry long spears called sarissas. But Alexander perfects the coordination between infantry, cavalry, and siege equipment. He studies his enemies carefully and exploits their weaknesses. He uses terrain to his advantage and employs psychological warfare brilliantly. His army becomes the most effective fighting force of the ancient world. As he conquers Persian territories, Alexander does something unexpected for a conqueror. He doesn't simply destroy and plunder. He adopts Persian customs and appoints Persian governors. He marries the Persian princess Roxana, showing respect for local culture. This policy of fusion creates controversy among his Macedonian companions. They want him to remain purely Greek. Alexander envisions something bigger, a blended empire where Greek and Persian cultures merge. The defining moment of Alexander's military career comes on October 1st, 331 BC. The Battle of Gaugamela showcases everything that makes him legendary. Persian king Darius III assembles a massive army, possibly numbering 100,000 or more. He chooses a flat plain near present-day Iraq, perfect for his chariots and cavalry. Darius even has the ground leveled to maximize his advantage. He positions scythed chariots designed to tear through infantry formations. Alexander arrives with roughly 47,000 troops, massively outnumbered. The night before battle, his generals find him calmly studying maps and planning. They suggest a night attack to offset the numerical disadvantage. Alexander refuses, declaring he won't steal victory like a thief. When morning comes, the two armies face each other across the plain. The Persians stretch so wide that they overlap Alexander's flanks on both sides. Enjoying the video? Please support us by subscribing. As battle begins, Darius launches his scythed chariots. Alexander's troops open corridors in their formation, letting the chariots pass harmlessly through. Javelin throwers pick off the drivers. Alexander then executes a brilliant maneuver. He angles his cavalry right, pulling Persian forces in that direction. A gap opens in the Persian center, exactly as Alexander predicted. He spots this opening instantly. With his elite companion cavalry, Alexander charges directly at this gap. He leads the wedge formation himself, heading straight for Darius. The Persian center collapses as Alexander's cavalry smashes through. Darius sees Alexander cutting through his guards, getting closer and closer. Panic grips the Persian king. He turns his chariot and flees the battlefield. His army, seeing their king retreat, begins to disintegrate. Alexander pursues relentlessly, but Darius escapes. The victory is absolute and devastating. Persian casualties number in the tens of thousands. Alexander's losses are comparatively minimal. This battle effectively ends the Persian Empire as a unified force. Alexander becomes master of the greatest empire the world has ever seen. He's only 25 years old. After Gaugamela, Alexander pushes further east into territories unknown to Greeks. He conquers Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, claiming unimaginable wealth. In Persepolis, he controversially burns the royal palace. Some say it's revenge for Persian destruction of Athens. This act shows the complexity of his character, mixing calculated strategy with impulsive passion. Alexander's journey takes him through modern-day Afghanistan and into India. In 326 BC, he faces King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. Porus fields war elephants that terrify Alexander's horses. Despite this challenge, Alexander wins again through tactical brilliance. But his army is exhausted. They've marched thousands of miles from home. When Alexander wants to continue east, his troops finally refuse. Even the great Alexander must listen. Reluctantly, he turns back. Here's something most people don't know about Alexander. He's genuinely curious about the world and different cultures. He brings scientists, historians, and botanists on his campaigns. They document new plants, animals, and geographical features. Alexander sends samples back to Aristotle. He founds over 20 cities, many named Alexandria, spreading Greek culture eastward. These cities become centers of learning and trade for centuries. Plutarch, the ancient historian, writes that Alexander declares he came to Asia to unite humanity. Whether true or propaganda, this vision influences his policies. He encourages his soldiers to marry local women. He trains Persian youth in Macedonian military techniques. He wears Persian dress and adopts Persian court ceremonies. These actions infuriate traditional Macedonians who see their king going native. The controversies surrounding Alexander extend beyond cultural fusion. His methods are often brutal and unforgiving. He destroys cities that resist him. He executes or exiles those who question his authority. In a drunken rage, he kills his friend Clytus, the same man who once saved his life. This incident haunts Alexander, showing the psychological toll of constant warfare and absolute power. As he consolidates his empire, Alexander's behavior becomes increasingly autocratic. He demands to be worshipped as a god following Persian tradition. His Macedonian companions resist this Oriental despotism. The tension between Alexander's vision and his followers' expectations creates constant friction. Some historians argue he's becoming a tyrant. Others say he's adapting to rule a diverse empire. In June 323 BC, Alexander falls ill in Babylon. Various theories explain his death. Some blame malaria or typhoid fever, others suspect poison. After days of fever, Alexander the Great dies on June 10th or 11th. He's only 32 years old. He hasn't named a clear successor. When asked who should inherit his empire, he allegedly whispers, "The strongest." Alexander's empire fragments quickly, but his impact endures for millennia. The Hellenistic period he creates spreads Greek language, art and philosophy across 3 continents. Greek becomes the common language of the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries. The cities he founds become major cultural centers. Alexandria in Egypt houses the famous library and lighthouse. His conquests opened trade routes connecting East and West. Modern military academies still study Alexander's tactics and strategies. His ability to inspire loyalty, adapt to circumstances, and seize opportunities remains unmatched. Leaders throughout history, from Julius Caesar to Napoleon, have tried to emulate him. None have achieved quite the same legendary status. Alexander proves that one determined individual can literally change the world. His legacy raises profound questions about ambition, leadership, and the cost of glory. Was he a visionary trying to unite humanity, or a conqueror driven by insatiable ambition? Perhaps he's both. Alexander shows us the heights humans can reach and the complexity of greatness. Over 2,300 years after his death, we still debate his impact and study his life. That alone proves his place among history's most influential figures. Thanks for watching. Please support the channel by subscribing.